Hey guys, I'm Alicia with Onyx Studios. Welcome back. Today we're going to be doing an edit with me video. It's been a hot minute since I've done an edit with me, and today we're going to be using our images. Previously we have had other photographers that have purchased our presets send us images that we can use to do edit with me's, just so that we can showcase that our images work on images other than our own. And so today we're going to be using some of ours and just kind of do an updated edit with me because it's been so long since we've done one. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. This is the stunning image that we are starting with today. I love this image. I love the wings. I love the gold body harness. I love how her hair is falling. I love the eye contact. I love her hand sitting there. I just love the angle of the light. Every part of this image is beautiful. She looks beautiful. We are going to apply my sapphire preset. This is my baby. My sapphire preset is my absolute favorite. I personally feel like it goes with absolutely everything and is the least adjustable preset in the entire collection. For most everything, you can literally put it on there and do a few small little tiny tweaks in your images. Chef's kiss, like just so good. And we're gonna kind of go through what I would do with that here. So right now, personally, this is way too dark for me. So I am going to bring up the shadows. Already that's making a huge difference. I'm going to increase my highlights. That looks a little crazy, but bear with me. We're going to decrease these highlights so they're not so bright. And then we're gonna bring down the exposure of the entirety of the image. One other thing that sticks out to me is that this pulls very pink. You're gonna see on the tint slider that this is about a 19. For me, it's pulling very warm. Lately, I love a good warm image. To me, this is a little too warm. So we're gonna bring that down till it's a little bit less pink and more to her natural skin tone with just a little bit of elevated warmth on there. Because we don't want her to drift too far from her natural skin tone. So that is beautiful. You can see here that you can still see her contour, and when we kind of bring everything together, this will look a little bit less orange as well. So I am going to get my skin softening brush. I like doing a slight skin soften within the first few steps of the image, just so I can see how it's going to round out when the image is completed. I feel like I'm less picky about it when all of the skin texture is the same. Why? I feel like it's just something I've started doing and liked having done prior to doing everything else. For me, then I can see the entirety of the image by having the skin done. And sometimes depending on the skin, it can take a little bit. So I like just getting it done. Okay, so I love the way this is looking. I'm going to be doing a few spot removals. I have this little spot on my wall that I want fixed. Other than that, I think there we go. Okay, that looks good. Already the image is looking so good and very natural, like not too crazy, not super or heavily underexposed. Now this leg is still looking a little too yellow orangey for me. Instead of dealing with the temp sliders, I'm just going to take the saturation bar and I'm just going to lightly brush her leg. This is going to kind of keep the color where it needs to be, but just decreasing how strong it pulls. So we're going to do that here, and then we're going to do that there, I believe. So you can kind of see it looks a lot more natural to what her natural skin looks like in the raw image. So that looks great. So now we are going to be pulling my brush tools. If you haven't watched the how to utilize your brush tools and how they elevate your images video, go ahead, go back to our homepage and check that video out, because I think a lot of people really miss what the brush tools really can do for your images. For example, these feathers have so much texture. Obviously you can already see them in the image, but I love adding that extra dimension there and bringing out those details. So I'm just gonna go in with a clarity brush and I am going to enhance all of these feathers. And that is already so gorgeous. You can kind of see that just kind of separates that shadow here too, especially on this side when it can have a tendency to look a little bit darker because you are in the shadow. That really elevates that space there and doesn't make it seem so dark. I'm also going to do the same thing on her hair. And then we're also going to do the same thing on the body chain. You really want to pull those details. That looks gorgeous. Okay, now one of the final things I would do in this image, I love the intentional eye contact here. Her eyes do look a little dark. Obviously, she does have a lighter eye color with that lighter green. We're just gonna make that stand out a little bit more so you can see that. And it's a little bit more obvious at a distance. So we're gonna pull back and we're gonna see, obviously, like this is probably a little too strong. So we're gonna pull back here and go down until we feel it's a little bit more appropriate to natural. Again, oh, my slider wanted to go a little crazy there. But again, I'm gonna increase the clarity and the sharpness of that so that you can see the detail in her eyes here. Let's go ahead and let that focus in. That's so much better. Again, still very natural, but true to what her eyes would look like if we weren't editing it, and what it would look like naturally. So other than that, I think that looks really good. Some things that I would probably do if I was being super picky would be to remove this mark here. Just looks like hair or something. And then this little bit here. Again, this little mark is very natural, so we'll keep that there. And then 2 small blemishes there. Boom. That is absolutely stunning, still very natural, very true to what her the raw image looked like. Not taking it too far, but significantly adding a lot more depth, and it's a little bit more rich as far as color. So I love that image. That is absolutely beautiful. We're gonna move on to the next one. Let's go ahead and hop over to our tub set. I absolutely love this set, it's super fun. Again, I am going to add my sapphire preset here, and let's put that there. So you're gonna see with this one that it is very cool. It's pulling very cool. This room just naturally does that with the lighting. And as far as warmer elements, there's really not a ton. The greenery wall is still pulling a little bit cooler. Then you've got the white tub that is reflecting light on her as well. So naturally a cooler space. I'm once again increasing that exposure. I'm going to increase those shadows, and then I'm going to pull down those highlights, but I'm not loving the pull down of highlights, so I'm going to pull back down the exposure and pulling down those highlights with it, and then increasing those shadows, because I love this greenery wall, but if you have too much shadow, it really gets lost. It makes it look like a black hole back there, so I'm gonna leave that. But again, a great space to use that brush tool to really be able to pull back the details of that corner. So already I love this. The nice thing about this image, and like many other images, there's not a whole ton of skin retouching that needs to be done. I am once again going to be using the skin softening brush and decreasing my texture and my clarity, simply because this allows an even skin texture and makes everything in the image consistent when it comes to the skin. I know for me personally, when Tucker takes my boudoir images, the skin on my legs is different than the skin on my abdomen or on my arms, so really just taking a light brush and smoothing them over will make it all look consistent and cohesive. So here we are with the skin softened, not making a whole dramatic difference, but now we are going to take this clarity brush and we are going to brush this on the back. Just kind of bringing out the texture of this wall. And we're gonna undo that because I want a new brush. And then we're gonna do the bubbles. Again, if you haven't watched the brushes Lightroom video on elevating your images with brush. Oh my goodness, I can't talk. Elevating your images with the brush tool. There we go. Let's get it together. Goodness, you'd think it'd be a Monday with the way I'm talking today. In that video, I highly recommended that if you're going to be using the brush tool, to be opening a new brush tool for every segment of the image. And by that I mean using a brush for the wall, and using a different brush for the bubbles, and using a brush for maybe the rug if you wanted to enhance the detailing on the rug. Simply because if you wanted to go back and change the setting on that, you can do that at the specific spots of your image versus having to go back, erase, then add a new brush. You're just saving yourself a lot more time, and it's making it go a lot faster than it would if you were just using the same brush on everything. So I'm very happy with this image. Again, there's not a whole lot that needs to be done. It's a great detail shot. Her back looks great. Her butt has a little bit of the bubbles on it. The bubbles show in the image. The highlights are beautiful. You can almost kind of see the rays on here. If I really wanted to, I could add some sun rays, but honestly, I don't feel like it's super necessary in this image, so we're gonna move on to the next one. This one, I think that we're going to try the topaz. I think on her original gallery, I probably used the sapphire again. She's my ride or die preset. I will say that is probably about 90% of what I use on all of my images, just because it matches my current style the best. And I've lately loved a more soft overall color on my images, and then adding back that texture. I feel like topaz does have, obviously here you can kind of see a higher clarity, so it's a little bit pickier of a preset, but you can always change it to your liking. I personally just always prefer my sapphire. But today we're going to be using topaz on this image, so let's go ahead and start playing. Obviously she's a little dark, so we're going to be increasing the exposure on that, already making a huge difference. These sheets are green, so I love how this topaz preset really keeps them kind of more cool, just especially with the veil. I'm trying to keep that veil white, and I feel like the topaz does a better job doing that than my original sapphire preset would. With this, again, we're going to do a slight skin retouch with my skin tool. We're going to bring that here and start doing that. And then I always do a different brush for the face. because if I decide that I want to do something different, I want to be able to adjust just her face and not the entirety of her body. So I love this already. I think her face is a little dark, so I'm going to use a brush tool again, and I'm going to increase the exposure here and add that highlight on her face. You can bump the highlights for that. I just prefer utilizing the full exposure slider. I think it's going to do a little bit more, especially for this image. Now, just because I do personally love a little bit of green, you're going to see that there is absolutely none in the image. I feel like this also does a lot for the skin. For me, I love a little bit of grain texture on the skin. It makes it look a little bit more natural to me. I usually bump it at about a 20, and you're going to see that's going to maintain the texture of her skin here, especially on her shoulders and on her face. And then I'm going to take that clarity brush and I'm going to run that through the veil. So there's one thing about this image to me, and it looks a little pink still, and I think it's mostly bouncing off of her skin. You're going to see on her shoulder here, it's pushing a little pink. This is a little too pink for my personal taste, so I'm going to decrease that until it's almost neutral. You're going to see that at about a 10, and then I'm going to increase the warmth until I like that. Personally, I wouldn't do too much. Too much is going to be way too warm. And the tricky part about this is you're just going to really want to kind of balance it to your liking, and I think we just hit that here. That is stunning. That way you're not getting too much of a pull of pink, you're still getting that warm skin without it looking too magenta-y, and it matches the coolness of the surrounding space in the image here. So now we're going to do that next image from her. I'm almost tempted to go with sapphire just to kind of show the difference. Okay, so this is what topaz would look on this one, and here's sapphire. Actually, for the sake of the video, I'm going to stick with topaz because I feel like I don't ever use topaz. And then a nice fun little tool that I use to make sure all of my images are consistently the same, I use the side-by-side. This is a great reference point so that you can make sure that your images are staying consistent throughout your entire gallery, which if you are not editing in the same day, or you've been editing for too long, been staring at your set for too long, sometimes your adjustments feel so repetitive that you end up making little tweaks throughout your gallery, and from the first image to the last image, they look a little far off. So I like having a reference photo when I edit. So let's just go ahead and keep going with the topaz preset. We are going to put that on. This is what it looks like just put on here. I'm going to increase that warmth. We're going to decrease this tint here. I'm going to increase my shadows. I want to be able to see a little bit more around her. I'm going to be adjusting the skin. Oh my goodness, we're going to be going at about a 60. Brush this on here. Obviously, she has great skin.
Tough luck, babe. Struck out when you had about 30 chances. One bad day, now you don't know how to pay for the damage. I don't wanna climb. If I'm gonna fall back, it's away.
Okay, sorry about that. We're almost done. So let's get back into it. Already this is looking so good. I think the only other thing I would probably do with this is up my clarity, do a few hair and outfit things, just because I love the texture in that. And then add a little bit of warmth back into this, just because we can now finalize the small details. And then add my green, and I would say we're pretty good. You're getting that same toning in the skin, consistency in the sheets, and even in this image you're getting a little bit more light that's hitting the body. So I think that is going to be it for that one, and she looks so good. Let's go ahead and do a full. That's what that looks like, especially the light here. I love this beam of light. So good. Okay, I think that's it. If you have any questions about any of the brushing tools, any of the presets, go ahead and ask them below. If you would like to send us a sample image to see what your image looks like with the presets attached, don't hesitate to ask. Go ahead and send us an email. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.